This video is sponsored by Knuckles OX, Crimson Manifesto, and Jelpy. Before Deku can truly make himself judge, jury, and executioner, a voice rings out, that of Stain, as he yells for Deku to stop. Spinning round, the young hero in training sees his mentor stumble to his side, followed closely by Todoroki, with Stain laying a hand on Deku's shoulder and urging him not to do this. He gets it. Deku's angry, his blood's pumping, nerves are throbbing, and every instinct is telling him to finish this bastard off, telling him it's right, that it's justice. And heatedly, Deku protests that it is justice, causing the ghost of a smile to form on the reformed villain's lips, as he replies that maybe it really is, but there are other paths to it. Why let this guy off easy with death when he can rot in Tartarus stewing on this failure for the rest of his life? Doesn't that sound like justice too? Letting out a shaky breath, Deku nods, then turns back to ask Todoroki to fetch Mr. Aizawa so they can transport Chisaki back to the surface. However, in doing so, the boy had made one crucial mistake. He's taken his eyes off the villain. Seeing his chance, the half-dazed Overhaul reaches for his dropped gun. It's already cocked and loaded. All he has to do is point and shoot. Then his work won't have been for nothing. Then one filthy quirk will be erased at least. Then this little son of a bitch will pay for taking his property from him. Having his back turned, Deku doesn't see this movement, though Stain does, and having no time to warn his protege, does the only thing he can, tackle Deku out of the way, so that when the shot goes off, it buries itself in Stain's side instead, letting out a gurgling rasp of pain. The former villain falls backwards, with Deku as the closest person catching him, while Shoto rushes in to try and slow the bleeding by freezing the wound. Anguish in his tone, Deku tearfully demands to know why Stain did that for him, though chuckling faintly. Stain cups the boy's face with a hand, as he states that Deku's going to be the new symbol of peace, so he couldn't have him lose his quirk here. And besides, Blood Curdle really was more fitting a quirk for a villain, so perhaps it's past time he got rid of it. His eyes then close before the green-haired boy can argue this, with Aizawa having to assure Deku that Stain simply passed out from blood loss and pain. While beside him, Bakugo snaps at his rival to stop crying like when they were little kids. Stain sacrificed his quirk for Deku, so the useless nerd had better make it mean something, goddammit. Wiping his eyes and nodding, as if this is exactly what he needed to center himself, Deku turns back to where Chisaki had been lying, determined to carry out his mentor's instruction and arrest him. Though to his shock, he finds the man running, having decided that it would be more expedient to escape than to try and take out all the heroes before one of them kills him. Reaching the far side of the room, Chisaki then lays a hand on the ground, causing it to reconstitute as a platform that shoots straight up, while above him the ceiling clears away to reveal the street above, giving the villain a clear escape route. Refusing to allow Stain's sacrifice to be in vain, Deku gives chase, using One for All to kick off the ground and jump after him, though only after taking his mentor's sword, as while he will try to bring an Overhaul alive. If the chance or need arises again to kill him, he won't hesitate this time. Upon the street, the rearguard heroes are rather shocked to bear witness to a seeming earthquake before their primary target suddenly bursts onto the scene, looking as if he's going through hell. As the de facto leader, Nade urges his allies not to let Chisaki get away, though surprisingly, when Endeavor blasts towards the man, he finds him not running away from the group, but towards it. Briefly, he along with all the other heroes wonder what Chisaki is doing, until they see where his eyes are locked. The bound forms of Muscular and Katsukami, grunting that it looks like the league's forsaken him too. Overhaul states that he'll be borrowing the big guy's strength. Then as he lays upon him and his underling, all three men vanish, with the foul chimera taking their place. However, this isn't the worst of it, as this Chisaki Katsukami muscular amalgam also consumed the brute's bindings, which he reconstitutes as extra protection just as Endeavor goes to hit him with a flash fire fist, so that instead of striking him effectively, the new #1 hero finds himself chained and gagged. Due to these restraints being made mostly of metal, it will only take a few moments for Endeavor to melt them and free himself, but a few moments is all Chisaki needs to kill everyone else here with his newly enhanced body. Recognizing how this monstrosity has all the power that gave them so much trouble with none of the weaknesses, Nine-Eye tells everyone to fall back so they can formulate a new strategy, though in doing so, he fails to take into account one unknown variable, as Deku suddenly bursts from the hole in the street, screaming Chisaki's name. Intoxicated by Muscular and Katsukami's strength, Overhaul yells back, jeering at Deku that he doesn't have to scream, while goading for him to try and face him now, in a voice dripping with three men's desire for destruction, officially vowing as the head of Shie Haisakai to destroy the brat, along with all the heroes here. Snarling back, Deku promises that he won't let that happen, while positioning his stolen blade as he'd seen Stain do countless times before, and then using a One for All enrage-powered jump, he's able to shoot past Overhaul faster than he can react, slashing him multiple times in the instant he became a pale green streak of light. Due to all of Muscular's bulk and Katsukami's constitution, this simply cuts through a few layers of fortified tissue, though the psychological effect of drawing first blood with such little effort on top of the fear established in the Yakuza boss's heart earlier is far more profound, with Overhaul beginning to bellow like a mad beast as he wraps an arm and muscle fibers to the point it becomes that of a giant, and he then punches the boy with such force that a shockwave cracks the foundation of buildings all around them, causing Deku to gasp in pain and go skidding back while tearing up the road. At the sight of this, several heroes try to help, but fiercely Deku orders them to stay back, and even forces his body to move in front of them and defend them as Overhaul attempts to take advantage, declaring that this is his fight, and he will wipe away this evil. He then raises the blade once more, this time only moving in close enough to be face to face with his foe, as he drives a downwards diagonal slash across his chest, before putting another notch in Chisuke's side just above the first. Still manic due to all the raw power coursing through his unprepared body, the villain attempts to crush the boy's head with a clap, though seeing this one coming by recognizing the bloodlust, Deku darts back before running the sword at the outside of Overhaul's right arm, causing him to hiss in pain as he continues to babble about how he will not let some snot-nosed brat get the best of him, how he will take Eri back once he has flattened Deku's corpse completely, missing the fact that Deku is merely taking advantage of potshots to buy time and wear him out, in the vague hope that this triple fusion will at some point burn out Overhaul's energy, because as things stand, Deku's body will not hold out in the attempt to brute force his way through all this raw power. However, here, after a resounding boom, a new voice speaks up, that of Bakugo, as he snarks that if Overhaul wants the damn girl back so bad, he can have her. Looking round, Overhaul sees Bakugo shooting out of the hole, Eri on his back, though when he comes into view, the blonde boy proceeds to hurl the child right at him. From the sidelines, several of the heroes cry out, asking what this idiot's doing giving the target back to Chisuke, though Deku is not among them, as he sees the look of fixed determination on the girl's face as she soars towards her tormentor, as well as the fact that he knows Bakugo and him are on the same page. They have to take this guy down. While growling that he wins, Chisuke reaches out for Eri, only for that look of triumph to become terror, as when she lays her hands upon him, he finds himself being ejected from Muscular and Katsukami's bodies, as they too are forced to separate and return to their original forms. And so stumbling backwards, Overhaul watches as Muscular and Katsukami collapse, having taken the lion's share of the damage from Deku, though it seems the boy has saved the best just for him, as he almost materializes in his shadow like a trained killer, as he lines the blade of the Yakuza boss's neck, so that in a moment he can strike, in a moment he can end this. However, just before the fatal slash can connect, fortune seems to favor Chisuke, with the warp gate opening, and a clammy corpse-colored hand pulling him through, thus granting the heroes victory on this day, though at the cost of failing to apprehend their primary culprit. A moment later, the rest of the advanced team returned to the surface, with the remaining heroes and police commending them on their success and providing medical attention, with only 2 people remaining quiet. The first is Endeavor, who is taciturn as ever, his resentment for being denied the opportunity to prove his effectiveness as the new #1 hero still fresh in his mind, while the other is Sir Night-Eye. This final fight was all it took to confirm his suspicions that when push came to shove, Deku acted like a villain, brutalizing and even attempting to murder Chisuke. To this end, when the green-haired boy approaches All Might's former sidekick to ask if his opinion of him has changed, he is instead met with further aloofness, as Night-Eye tells Deku that to the contrary, every instinct he's had about the boy from the very beginning has been spot on. He then adds in a dispassionate tone, almost like he is correcting a homework assignment, that should Deku ever truly cross the line like he almost did today, he will not hesitate to organize a team to put an end to him like any other villain, no matter what All Might or anyone else might say. Briefly, Deku considered rebutting this claim, but in truth, he can more than agree to these terms, as he was taught what living by the sword meant from the beginning of this journey to become the symbol of peace. Though this is all forgotten when he sees an unconscious Stain being carried out on a makeshift stretcher by Mirio and Aizawa. Rushing over to them, Deku asks if his mentor will be alright, with Aizawa gruffly replying that thanks to Shoto's ministrations, he'll live, though he'll need to be taken to a hospital fast if he wants to make a full recovery, and even then, his quirk is most likely gone forever. With that grim pronouncement, all that is left to do is escort the villains to Tartarus, though an exception is made for Rappa, who thanks to Fat Gum and Kirishima's testimony regarding him switching sides to fight alongside the heroes midway through the raid, is instead transferred to a minimum security prison near Ishuna City. He is also given a reduced sentence, with the possibility of parole and even a work release, a prospect that pleased the ex-Yakuza cage fighter to no end, as it means he can repay his debt to society by busting heads as one of the BMI hero's sidekicks, just like he had hoped to do. Before he can be led away, however, he does share a brief moment with his new rival, Red Riot, telling him that he better come visit him, but more importantly, he better keep up and intensify his training, since when he gets out of the slammer, they're going to have a proper rematch. Grinning broadly, Kirishima replies that he wouldn't have it any other way. Then with a shared laugh, they exchange a brotherly fist bump, eager for the day they will meet again. Meanwhile, many miles away, the League of Villains reconvened, now down Muscular, but with the added membership of Overhaul. Naturally, the bird-masked man is livid, believing that the hero stole his property by taking Eri, though oddly enough, Shigaraki seems unconcerned, only asking if Chisuke managed to smuggle the quirk-destroying bullets out with him, wanting to gain some favor with the man he has unfortunately been forced to submit to. Overhaul confirms this, showing him the 5 rounds left in the gun, having spent 1 to take care of Stain after all. This at least seems to please Tomura. who rises to his feet, a smile forming on his pale, cracked lips. As he chuckles that this is an even sweeter karma than he could have planned for the traitor. Regaining focus, he ends up asking for the bullets, which the man obsequiously gives. Though when the League boss says it's been a pleasure doing business with him, cruel finality in his tone, Chisaki realized that the League of Villains didn't really save him back there. They just used him as a delivery method to keep the bullets out of the hands of the heroes. Speaking of hands, Shigaraki's are the last things Overhaul will ever see, as the pale man goes to lay one on his head. And so he closes his eyes, ready to accept his fate. After failing the boss so badly over and over, he's beginning to see death as a better alternative to living as a husk. However, here, he recognizes he is still thinking, and thus opens his eyes to see Shigaraki contemplating something before making a decision finally, and instead smiling while closing his hand around Chisaki's, so that decay begins to suddenly surge up his arm, surely set to destroy him in a matter of moments, even if a bit more painful than instant. However, he receives unlikely and unfortunate salvation in the form of Himiko Toga, as with a nod from Shigaraki, she relieves him of the crumbling appendage just before it can spread to his entire body, and even before his screams of anguish can fill the air around them, nearly drowning out Shigaraki snickering that it seems Chisaki still owes the League, or at least Toga, a favor. But as he's losing so much blood, he snaps in realization and supposes that he'll owe them too, while smiling to doubt it'll help their new recruit out a bit. The would-be villain king then tosses the bullet's magazine to Mr. Compress, telling him to please get those to the doctor as quick as he can, so he can start reverse engineering them. He then addresses the rest of his followers, that sickly smile still on his face, as he tells them though the heroes may believe themselves the victors here, they are the ones who have truly won, as with this leap forward, they have brought themselves one step closer to their ultimate goal, the complete and total destruction of this worthless superhero society. And that'll wrap up Part 9, Issue Number 2, the events of the Yakuza arc and Season 4. I know it sucks, but egregious waits between installments aside, we're still chugging along just like the main series is. Since at the time of recording, it still seems like 2024 will be when we see a canon ending. Gonna do my best to get the next parts out soon, since now that we're past this arc, we're about to get into some stuff that I've been very excited for a long time. And more importantly, some actually significant changes for canon. For right now, though, shoutouts to Valeriusvia for my new custom renders featured in this part, as well as to our special channel supporters of the day, Orion 101, Chandler Does What Ifs, Jesus is King, Massive Oak Wood Tree, and Mr. Michael Law 2011, who on top of going above and beyond to support the channel like all these other generous people with all their names scrolling across the screen have, also went way out of his way a while ago for a gift for me that I failed to share with you all for a while. So I figured doing so finally is the true best way to sign off the video this time.
Hey, this is Eric Vale, voice of Shigaraki from My Hero Academia, plus others, and you're watching Plus Ultraman, reminding you to go Plus Ultra.